Cool. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out this evening. My name is Meda. I am a solutions architect here at AWS. And today, I am excited to talk a little bit more about the AWS Web Application Firewall and how we're able to shield applications from digital threats. So in today's agenda, I want to talk a little bit more first about customer challenges that are faced, especially when hosting applications on AWS. From there, we'll talk a bit more about how AWS Web Application Firewall can provide that application-level security, showcase how to implement this within the AWS Solutions Architecture, highlight a demo of ways to set up these rules, provide a little bit more about these potential outcomes, and next steps from there. So why don't we begin with some of these customer challenges, right? So as we are hosting these web applications, one key challenge that we see is the critical need for real-time monitoring, especially as these applications are being hosted globally for users to access. Sometimes there are attacks or threats that hit our applications. This is where we need to ensure that incident response times are minimized, and without some of these real-time capabilities, a lot of organizations often are playing catch-up when these attacks occur. Secondly, there's a rise of web attacks that are happening, especially with our customized applications or other common platforms. We notice that these applications can be constantly under attack. So over time, we have noticed that these attacks are also becoming increasingly more sophisticated. So this is leading to a lot more data breaches that are occurring and longer downtime for these applications. Thirdly, another customer challenge risk that we're seeing is complex bot traffic detection. So there's two different types of bots. So there's good bots that are going to be set in place, such as search engines, but there's also bots that are trying to scrape applications to gather a lot of this business-critical data. Sometimes it's hard to differentiate these legitimate bots versus malicious bots. So it's hard for a lot of these security teams to detect and prevent a lot of this automated traffic effectively. And lastly, poor traffic visibility. So we've noticed that a lot of security teams struggle to set that baseline of how many requests should be hitting these applications. So a lot of teams are unable to set this up, leading to traffic spikes where they're unable to figure out, is this actually a user that wants to view these applications, or is it an attacker trying to attack these web pages? This also leads to a lot of resource allocation decisions made with incomplete information. So how can we address some of these customer challenges? This is where we can leverage one of our services, AWS Web Application Firewall, also known as AWS WAF. This service specifically provides level 7 protection in the OSI model and ensures that these applications are safe. So with this service, we're able to ensure that we have complete web vulnerability protection. So we're able to set up certain rules in place to prevent our applications from SQL injections or cross-site scripting issues. Or even if you have more customized rules that you would want to implement for your specific security posture, you're able to do so. With AWS WAF, we're also able to identify what are some of these legitimate users versus malicious bots that are in place, and how we can prevent credential stuffing attacks from happening. And lastly, with this web application firewall, we're able to actually set up real-time monitoring. So with this, you're able to see detailed security dashboards in place, as well as storing some of these logs of the requests that are hitting your applications, and further audit them and query them for compliance purposes. So what makes this service particularly powerful is the way that it's able to integrate seamlessly amongst other AWS services, and I'll be discussing this in the next slide. So as you can see, this is our AWS Solutions Architecture diagram. So on the right-hand most side, we have our Amazon EC2 or Elastic Compute Cloud Service. This is utilized to host our overall application using a compute instance. As you can see, to provide or access this content for users to view these applications, we can then leverage one of our services known as Amazon CloudFront. This is a content delivery network service to ensure that users globally are able to access these web applications. So now, how can we include that security in place? So between the users trying to hit the request to view these applications, we can ensure that we're able to set up AWS WAF between the user level and Amazon CloudFront. With this, we're able to create these rules, so we're able to ensure that our applications are secure. And a lot of these logs that we enable can be stored within one of our storage services called Amazon S3, known as Amazon Simple Storage Service. To get further monitoring benefits, this is where we can actually query some of these logs utilizing Amazon Athena and create more customized dashboards leveraging one of our monitoring services known as Amazon CloudWatch. So now that I explained to you some of the services in place and ways we can set up WAF, why don't I show you a demo of how to create some of these rules. So as you see over here, this is our AWS console. And the first step that we're going to do is navigate to our service, WAF and Shield. So once you select on this, it'll take you to a page where we are able to navigate to our protection pack. So this is the page that we see. And on the left-hand side tab, we're going to be selecting resources and protection. So once we navigate to this is where you're able to see your protection packs. Protection packs are used to combine a lot of these rules or rule sets to ensure that you're able to protect your applications from infrastructure level threats. So once we go to this protection pack, you're able to see one that's already generated, and there's a resource in place connecting it to our CloudFront distribution. Within this, you're also able to see a diagram of some of the allowed or blocked requests that are hitting these applications. And now I want to talk through one approach that we can take. So let's say we want to protect our application from more SQL injections to not hit it. Right? So this is where, when we go to actions and manage rules, we can set up some of these rules in place. So what we're going to do now is, once we are navigating to this manage rule, we'll click on add a rule and navigate specifically to the AWS managed rule group. So within this, AWS already has some rules in place that can provide that level of security. So we have a combination of free as well as paid rules. And going back to that use case, we're going to select SQL database, and we're going to select all of the requests that are related to SQL database, and we can add that rule. But what if you want to create more customized rules? So let's say we want to block our overall application from a URI path that says hash includes, right? How are we able to set this up? This is where we can create more customized rules. So we're going to select add rule, and when we go here, we're able to select custom rule. So with this custom rule, there's a few different types of rules. So if you want to block certain IP addresses, you're able to do so. If you want to block certain countries from accessing an application using geo-based rules, you're able to do that, as well as rate-based rules. But for now, we're going to select custom rules. So when we select custom rules, the first step that we'll need to do is name the rule that we would want in place. So the rule name that we're going to include is path block, and we want to block a certain request from happening if it hits hash includes, right? So we're going to state over here, if it matches a particular string, and we're going to type in hash includes, we're going to ensure that's able to block it. And we have generated both an AWS managed rule as well as a customized rule. So now that we have this in place, you're able to see that we have our protections configured, and we can enable logging as well. So this is where we're able to get a lot of our audit trends in place, where we can do further monitoring to this data. So one approach that we can take to monitor this is taking that data that's stored in S3 and doing some queries to it. So I'm going to be navigating to Amazon Athena, which is one of our SQL-based querying services. And as you can see, it's already leveraging our logs stored in one of our data tables. And with this, I'm going to generate a query which will keep track to see how many requests are being blocked for our AWS managed rule. So as you can see, these are all of the results that we have, and it's able to highlight which rules in place and the client IP associated with it. What if I want to also create a more customized dashboard? This is where we can go to Amazon CloudWatch and go to all metrics. We'll then select WAF v2, which is specific to our web application firewall, and select all of the rules. So from there, we're able to generate to see, okay, what's hitting our application? Are these allowed or are these blocked? So with this, you're able to create something more customized, and you can toggle along based on the metrics that you would want to see. So with this, I hope you're able to understand, firstly, how we're able to protect against these web threats. We can create managed rules as well as customized rules, as seen in this demo. In addition to that, too, we're able to gain visibility over malicious bot attacks that are hitting these applications. So especially with Web Application Firewall, we're able to ensure that we can identify legitimate bots over malicious bots, and we can set real-time security monitoring and analysis. So within our Web ACL, we are able to keep track of our overall data and also query these logs for Amazon Athena and create customized dashboards with Amazon CloudWatch. And with this, we're able to ensure that our overall security posture experiences minimal false positives. So with this, I hope this gives you a pretty good idea. If you would like to learn a little bit more about this service, this is a really great workshop I highly recommend you take a look at. This will provide a lot more hands-on guidance, along with our Getting Started with AWS WAF. This is a really great user documentation, which will provide you a lot more context in terms of how to set up this service. Thank you all so much for coming to this lightning talk today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me after this session. And please complete the session survey in the mobile app. Would love to hear your feedback about this lightning talk. Thank you all so much.